If the outline of the thumbnail is blue, then you know, well, it's a 2-cent review. Hi, hello, how's it going? Arcade here, bringing you another 2-cent review this week. This week we're talking about Furi. Furi. Let's get right into it. Furi is an action hack and slash that relies heavily on bullet hell mechanics and a steady dose of sadism. The game sees you playing as this mysterious stranger who one day wakes up to find himself in the world's most unnecessarily complex and large prison. You are freed from your cell by a splicer sporting Bugs Bunny's head and wearing the robes of a nobleman. He informs you that you've tried to escape Cloud City Correctional many times and have failed time and time again, only to be thrown back into your cell. But this time will be different, he says.
This time you'll escape. Dobby will be a free elf. You'll be a free elf, Dobby.
So off you go, ready to take on the people tasked with keeping you imprisoned. Sounds easy enough, right? Pretty straightforward. Even the bunny boy himself says the jailer is the key. Kill him and you will be free. That's simple enough. You know, it's not that hard to follow, right?
Nope.
The only thing that'll be straightforward here is the direction in which your face flies into a blade. In between these epic endgame boss battle fights, you get to play walking simulator and listen to the rabbit rabbi deliver bits and pieces of exposition. These minute story details seem fragmented and don't make much sense as a whole for most of the game, and it isn't until after the last boss when things finally start to come together. It was a unique take on storytelling that we don't really see in modern video games all too often. I found it to be a refreshing way to tell a tale. The narrative here is enticing from the get-go. It immediately pulls you in and provides enough dialogue and continuous narrative progression to keep you wanting to see how the story will conclude. It isn't anything memorable per se, but it's certainly entertaining during its runtime and doesn't overstay its welcome. Now let's move on to the presentation. Ever wonder what a mashup between Afro Samurai and Machina would look like? Yeah, me either. But if that rhetorical question did pique an interest in what this theoretical game would look like, it'd be Furi. This cel-shaded, highly stylized boss battle bonanza is completely drenched in vibrant neon aesthetic, and holy shit, is it beautiful. Gaze upon its glorious greatness.
Gaze.
Gaze upon it.
Look at it. It looks good. It's a good looking game. It's a good looking one. There it is.
Every area is completely different in its style, and varies so much that you'll be wondering what comes next. The different locales aren't the only thing that deserves a mention though. The bosses need some love too, because they are just as varied and excellently crafted as the locations that they reside in. Each and every boss is just leaking and oozing personality. If it's any indication of how well these bosses are designed, I'd actually say that they're better designed than the story that they are a part of. And then there's the music. The music in this game is great. Look, the music here is great, okay? It's fantastic. Furi has a freak dangin' good soundtrack, and it's already received multiple plays from me outside of me playing the game. Pick any one song from this game's OST and give it a listen. It'll very likely sound like an endgame boss theme, when in all actuality, it's just the song that plays during the game's first showdown. It's fast-paced, heavily reliant on arpeggiation, creeping pads, synth-wavy goodness, and even the occasional bit of droning brass. There wasn't a single track that I didn't enjoy listening to. They're all good, and that's something I can't say for many game soundtracks. I'd put it right up there with Hotline Miami's OST in terms of enjoyability and memorability. The presentation in Furi is top-notch. It's better than some good shit. It's some top-tier shit. Now regarding the gameplay, Furi reminds me of Dark Souls.
Oh, he said it. He said it.
He said Dark Souls. He compared it to Dark Souls again. He always compares games to Dark Souls because it feels like every other game that Dark Souls I play is Dark Souls related to Dark Souls and some Dark Souls sort of Dark Souls.
Did I mention Dark Souls? No? Knock knock. Who's there?
Dark Souls.
It didn't remind me of Dark Souls in the same way something like Neo did, with its many twisting pathways, souls to collect, and the major loss of progress due to one misstep. No, Furi reminded me of the Souls series for completely different reasons. This game has sharp difficulty spikes, requires very precise timing, and punishes anyone who doesn't have the speed and reflexes of a European hare. Okay, so maybe Furi reminded me of Dark Souls for the same reasons that Neo did. I just didn't want to feel guilty about making a comparison to Dark Souls yet again. Remember those bosses that I mentioned not too long ago? How they were so different and varied from one another? That variance doesn't stop at just the presentation level. It somehow managed to step into the gameplay as well. No two bosses here are alike. One moment you're dodging orbs of noxious gas being thrown at you by a fishman, and then the next, you're ducking and weaving your way between cover, avoiding onslaughts of bullets and landmines in an attempt not to be one-shotted by the nefarious sniper waifu. The game's controls are simple to understand, but can be somewhat difficult to get comfortable with. It took me a little bit time to get used to the game's controls, but not so much to where it reached the point of irritability. There's going to be attacks here and there that you could have sworn you dodged, or seem like cheap shots. But this doesn't happen all too often, and wasn't really that big of a gripe. For the most part, Furi is responsive and precise in its controls, which are two ingredients vital in making a good action game. There are no upgrades or skill points to be earned here. You're not going to be taking points and distributing them between skills and stats. That sort of thing doesn't exist in Furi. You're given all the skills and abilities you need to beat the entire game right from the beginning, and it's up to you to decide what to do with these skills. Not every use will be immediately apparent. Some of them will only click in your head after you've been pummeled into the dirt for the 5th or the 6th time. With that being said, be prepared to become very, very angry while playing this game, because this game is going to throw difficulty spike after difficulty spike at you. No, you know what? Screw that. It does not throw difficulty spikes. It throws difficulty walls. Big old gigantic, overwhelming walls. And you're either going to need extremely long legs or persistence and dedication to get over them. But stick with it, and you'll be in for a very rewarding experience.
And with that, let's get the verdict on out here. Get him out here. Just bring him out.
Furi is a game that I have almost no gripes with, and that's not something I can say for many games. It impressed me from bottom to top, left to right, forward to back, and any other direction that you can think of. The fast-paced and reflex-reliant boss battles never get old, even if they feel a little unfair at times. The presentation is fantastic both visually and musically, and I loved seeing every little bit that this game had to offer. Furi is constantly pushing you to become a better and sharper fighter, and rewards you with an immense sense of accomplishment after each battle. Furi is a rare game. It gets so much right, and hardly does anything to tarnish the player's enjoyment, so long as that player is a masochist. I think Furi is such a great game that I don't think I could give it my regular review of
Definitely worth full price.
Instead, I want to give Furi a verdict
Of definitely worth any price.
I don't mean that literally. I will not pay any price for this game. So if you take this literally and make a joke to me in person about buying Furi for any price, I'm going to look at you with this face and wonder why you asked such a stupid question. So that was my 2 cents on Furi. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did and want to see more videos like this every week, be sure to hit that like button, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit the bell thing. Ding ding. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week.